All right, man.
Here
What's up?
Again, episode 31.
310. No, episode 31. Yeah,
So
been a while.
we have to get to 100.
Yeah,
To
just moving slow.
How it goes.
Moving slow a little bit.
Yeah.
World's moving fast.
The world's moving fast.
Slow. We're busy. So I think we wanted to do this episode, just a quick little thing to kind of talk about our positioning in the skate industry, because we had a previous episode where we talked about our positioning being the most customizable truck on the market.
Well, that's maybe going to be true, but I think now that I have time to think about it a little bit more, because it's an important thing in branding to identify yourself as to what you stand for, what's your position in bringing some product to the market. You know, to me, it's important to be different in a way that's not just to be different, but that you're doing something for a purpose or trying to solve a problem. And I think GrindKing, you know, we're definitely, a different type of truck company, because we're, in my opinion, for me, I see myself as being more hands-on to like just every phase of it. And the most passionate phase for me of creating trucks is the design and the process of refining that design. So if I was to say what is GrindKing's position in the skate market, I'm going to go back to the roots of GrindKing, and it's really just about, being able to create products that are innovative and not, that offer something different. And, different isn't always better. For me, trying to be different it takes a lot more effort, because you have to take a chance. And, there's a lot of truck companies that have come out recently that emulate sort of the holy grail of trucks, which is the Indy, in my opinion. They have a classic, they've niched the classic truck for skateboarding, and many truck companies seem to do a little spin-off of that, which is fine. I think there's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. But
as your brother says, classic never dies.
Classic never dies.
Yeah.
So, but GrindKing is to me, because I'm interested in being taking a different path. So rather than trying to just sort of emulate these other trucks in the past, I'm trying to create something that's completely different, which I think I did with the Locker. I think and most people will agree the Locker is quite a bit different from anything out there. And it's an experimental truck. I mean, there's no doubt that there's improvements that will need to come with. I mean, for me, part of my motto is to constantly improve. So even the next generation of Lockers isn't going to be the last truck design that I do. I want to keep improving it, coming out with new variations, and being a little bit of a risk taker. So I have to put my neck out there a little bit more than other truck companies, I think, because I believe the payoff is worth it if you can actually provide innovation that progresses the sport. So that's sort of the positioning of GrindKing is to be the truck company that is constantly innovating, constantly experimenting with new ideas, and pushing the envelope in truck technology and hardware technology for skateboarding.
Yeah. We're almost like a laboratory.
Always
trying to push the envelope.
You don't know till you put it out there. And since the Locker's been out for not quite a year yet, but it's been out for over 6 months for sure. And there's been so much I've learned from the feedback, from the comments. I appreciate constructive feedback and constructive criticism. Some of the comments are just hate. That's kind of skate. You have to understand there's a lot of haters, skaters and haters.
They blend well together.
Yeah. So you have to have thick skin, because some people just say stuff because they're sitting on their couch and they want to just come up with something to say because maybe they got nothing better to do, but they don't really have other thing to say other than it's stupid or this. That doesn't really help. What would be helpful if you people out there wanted to say something they didn't think was cool, like some people will say, "Oh, it's a gimmick." Well,
I got something to add to that before we even get into the constructive criticism phase of that. I believe that if you haven't tried the truck and you haven't given it a try, then you really nothing to say. You got to try it first. And then
Yeah.
if you give us feedback on after trying it.
Yeah.
And
Well, that of course is kind of the logical thinking that should apply, but it's not the way it is in skateboarding. Skateboarders say stuff.
Yeah.
And
well,
so
in every
you
industry,
have
people
to
say stuff.
So my only suggestion is go ahead and say stuff, but maybe say why. Like if you say it's a gimmick, well, why is it a gimmick? Gimmicks to me are like, for example,
skate graphics
on a skateboard.
Gimmicky.
Painting a logo or printing a logo on a blank wood skate deck. Perhaps is the biggest gimmick of all because that adds a lot of cost. It gets scraped off right away if you're doing board slides. There's no purpose of it other than to increase your skateboard cost and add looks to it. So looks a gimmick? Yeah, it totally is. But but
Creeper.
People will pay for that. People like, if you want to call it gimmicks, well, like I said, you buy skate decks with graphic on it, so gimmicks sell. And so I will say that, yes, certainly when I design trucks, I'm looking for cosmetic aesthetics that I like. I have a lot of design experience, so I'm real picky on how something looks. But I don't have the same taste as everybody. So what I think is beautiful, someone will think is ugly. And that's what makes the world beautiful, is that we all have different opinions.
I like curves.
Yeah, I like curves.
Yeah.
So, but some people like straight edges. Some people like classic, just the same old thing. So I respect that, but understand that GrindKing is going to keep pushing the envelope of innovation and taking a chance with experimenting on new ideas. Locker has 7 innovations, which all took a chance. So this truck was very, in a way, there was kind of a big risk involved, and I think overall it came out really well. I learned enough to where now I can even take some of the ideas and make them better. And so I'm still waiting for these early adopters, which we call test pilots, by the way, to the test pilots out there that have been riding the truck and giving me feedback, I want to say thank you, because that is really what I use to, that stuff isn't, it's jotted down, noted. A lot of the ideas were very good in terms of helping me think of ways to make future trucks better, and other ideas that, keep them coming is what I'm saying.
You can collect data for years and then not use the data to make changes to your product. And that's probably the most important part to getting trucks out to YouTubers and people like that, is just collecting that data, but then actually taking action on it is a big deal.
And there's been comments, people say, bring back Creeper, which is, something that we would like to do at some point. And if everything works out right, it would be like around Halloween of 2026. And of course, everyone will say it's a gimmick truck. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be a truck that looks like nothing else. And in case anyone doesn't know what it looks like, I can show it there. It definitely pushed the gimmick level, I guess, but it actually rode well. And the one I'm going to be working on will be a very good truck in terms of how it performs.
It will look badass,
but it's going to look. It's the anti-truck. That was kind of the thing. It's Creeper is the anti-truck.
I love the look of the Creeper Kingpin. There's just something really cool about that. Yeah, and then especially you have like the insignia here with the wings from the Creeper Shadow.
Well, we want to make Creeper, when we bring it back, if it comes back, it's going to have some things added. One of the things that we're excited actually is creating little short episodes of fun things that we've been experimenting a lot with AI. I know some people will hate that we use AI, but I find it's kind of the new frontier. I think everybody at some point, or most people that are smart, will adopt AI in some form, because it basically like boosts anyone that's a creative person or is looking for ideas or just wants answers to questions. they should be using it. I mean, that's how if I would just boil it down to like what I think AI is because some people still have they haven't grasped.
It's a double-edged sword, though.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a double-edged sword.
Here's how I would say it to people that aren't really using it yet, or why do you start using it? Is that basically any question you have in life, any question. I don't care if it's how to use this device, how do you communicate with your girlfriend, how do you build a business. It doesn't matter. If you have any question, it could be even what's this, why is my finger hurt? AI has the best answer. There's nobody I can think of, even an expert, cannot answer any question better than AI. Pretty much, I can't think of an instance where AI wouldn't answer the question better. Maybe there's some instances, I just haven't thought of it. But when I think about every question I could think of right now, I'm going to run it through AI if it's an important question. Wouldn't you agree?
I would definitely agree. Like I was saying, it's a double-edged sword, though, for creatives, I think, because you can kind of get stuck in the path of using it for everything. But I think the best way to use it right now is to gather ideas and then use your own creativity.
Well, it's definitely a tool for creatives to
like
expand
Photoshop.
on their ideas. Yeah, you get way more ideas from using it than if you were just sitting in a room by yourself. Now, we did experiment with running, and I found it really interesting because we came up with a quick AI ad, which was this guy about the grooves. I don't know, some of you guys might have saw it. It was a kind of a dude, like, how did it go?
He's having some issues in the bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
He
goes, he goes, my grooves, my hanger is just worn out or something like that.
My hanger's wearing out, doc. What I gotta do? And the therapist goes, I'm gonna write you a prescription for GrindKing.
Yeah,
we were trying to play on.
But it was interesting is it didn't do as well
as
our regular comparison ads, which we got a lot of people didn't like the fact that we were comparing our trucks to Indy, which we do. Again, I emphasize that we love Indy. Indy is a company that inspired GrindKing in a sense. So I owe a lot to Indy. I have a lot of respect for them. But that doesn't mean we can't be playful in how we market our stuff. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're just trying to. Indy is by far the biggest #1 truck company, but we want a piece of the pie. We're not gonna sit here and go, well, we're kind of a cool truck company. No, we're going up against Indy and everyone else. We'd like to, at some point, I'm not going to lie, I'd like to be the #1 truck company.
I'm not going to put out marketing where it's like, hey, guys, look at this new GrindKing truck. By the way, we love Indy and everything they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's not advertising. Advertising is ruffling feathers in one form or another. You got to get people's attention. Those ads we did for comparison, just by comparison, did like over 10 times, 20 times better than any other ad.
Yeah, well, most of the comments are negative, but attention is attention sometimes.
Well, maybe a lot of negative comments. There were also a lot of positive comments. But
we're finding our
I think
crowd.
we have almost 500,000 views on that one.
Yeah, I wanted to get to a million.
Which tells you that if you can get close to 500,000 views, I don't care what people say. People are looking at that ad. It's trending somehow.
I was going to say, I think probably the most interesting thing about AI for me, one of the most interesting things is if you go into a program that's a tool, like let's use Photoshop, for example. Photoshop can't teach you how to use Photoshop, but AI can teach you how to use AI. And I think that really separates using the tool of AI, where I could go use AI, but I could ask AI and prompt it to tell me how to use AI better. I don't think there's any,
Photoshop even.
Or Photoshop, sure, yeah, but using AI, it's just very meta, like using AI to use AI.
Yeah,
it's a very weird thing that hasn't happened in history. Yeah.
Well, this is my prediction and I'm going to get some more hate on this, but this is my prediction. We're not supposed to talk about politics or religion or what else? Big taboo.
I've banned politics,
religion, and
I've banned it from the podcast.
Whatever, drugs, all the stuff that it's interesting to me. But anyway, this is what I think the world should come to. I think the world should be controlled by AI and run by AI. All governments should have an AI that advises the powers that be in government to do the right thing.
Ooh, you're gonna get a lot of slack for that one.
I don't care.
No, I like it. That's a very opinionated.
I'll tell you the reason why is because the governments around the world, including our government, are easily corrupted, as we see on both sides. I'm not trying to take sides either. Both sides. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent. There's a lot of corruption in government. We see it because people are buying, billionaires give money, and it's easily corruptible. And people also are, they have biases. So people are they're not perfect, and they have these subconscious biases that grew up with that make them favor one party over another, one color over another, one race, one country. You have your own interests involved in these decisions, which I think is not good. The decisions should be based on a world goal of peace. If you were to have this government and all governments use AI to find a solution that brings peace and prosperity to the world, that's the mission of the AI, is to come to a peaceful solution for everything that's a conflict, and a most prosperous solution, so that it's a win-win. It's not like one country wins and pays a tariff and another one doesn't. It should be designed on actual numbers that are metrics that are used to have the AI find the best solution. And then all these AIs, there's a lot of AIs, because you can't just have one AI, because if something happened or got corrupted, it could be the end of the world. So what you do is you have each country has its own AI based on its own culture, and they all link to the master AI. So the master AI that makes the decisions for the world to keep peace considers every country's needs. And that could also factor into its economic needs, its struggles, its resources, and it makes it so the whole world revolves in synchronicity and in unison to help the greater good of mankind. It's not about any country first. It's about together and how the world can coexist in a harmonic way. And there's no biases, there's no prejudice, there's no favoritism. It's just trying to do the best for humanity. But of course, you can't have AI ever push a button. It has to be just here's the data that I know, and here's the best solution, and then you guys choose maybe 2 or 3 paths. Like maybe there's 3 options, and this leads to this, leads to that, and then all these AIs combined mutually agree. Mm-hmm. So it's like a world unifying. I see it as a way to unify the entire world and eliminate these things like wars. It would be part of the AI's function to not ever resort to a war. Like that's like the last thing. The only time it could resort to a war is if every country agreed that there's this one country, like let's just say North Korea wants to bomb Seoul or do something crazy or invade another country. All these AIs say, no, that's not the solution. This is the best solution. And if they deny that, then no, maybe some force has to be used. But that would be mutually agreed upon by the majority of the countries.
That's a very optimistic look on AI.
I think it's more than optimistic. I think it's inevitable.
I think that there's definitely a big danger. And we were just talking about bias. And I think confirmation bias.
So what's the danger?
The danger?
Yeah, because I see it as it's the best way to peace.
Well, your way is the best way to peace. Right. I'm saying, but there is a chance that we lose control of a power like this.
Well, yeah, if it's like AIs, like I say, these have to be combined.
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying.
If it's not combined, then you might have one AI that has an evil
Yeah, and that's
person
kinda,
running it or something.
The way that it's going, it almost seems like that's kind of where it's headed. That's what scares me.
Well,
And right now,
maybe.
my problem right now with AI is we were just talking about biases, and I think it like confirmation bias is a problem. Like when I'm talking to a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, something I notice, especially lately, these newer models, they're really agreeable. Like and it was bothering me because it's like I'll ask it a question, I'll give my thoughts on a particular topic, and it's very agreeable. And you can have like major confirmation bias when you're talking to these things and I don't know if that's kind of like a bug and something they got to fix out with it, but it's always saying, "Hey, great job, man. You're doing good. This is an awesome idea.
I've actually found that
you've had it a couple times where
when I first started using ChatGPT, I had this idea of when I was going to do the I think it was Grip Dog, or I was using it for. It had nothing to do with skateboarding, but it was like one of my other products.
It didn't like Grip Dog?
I think it was the Glove Slinger.
It didn't like Glove Slinger?
No, it didn't have, it wasn't, it didn't like it. I asked it if I wanted to use sexy girls using it and showing it. It's for the construction industry and all that. So I thought, have a sexy girl use it, and she pulls it. She's on a ladder, and she's good. So I asked AI. I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Hey, what do you think of this idea of like, if you think it'd be okay if I used sex cells kind of thing on this?" And it said, I don't recommend that. It said that's going to potentially make you look. I forgot what it said, but basically it shot it down.
Yeah, and it shot me down before. I'm just saying most of the time I see a lot of agreeableness with things that I do.
Well, but maybe it's just trying to give you, and it doesn't want to. I think it takes your idea and it tries to embellish it and help you rather than just saying, "No, that's a stupid idea."
Yeah, of course.
It's going to try and make it work.
And it's going to change. And I use it every day. I was using like an agent the other day to go find me tickets for travel, but it took control of my computer, and I allowed it to, where it would, and I was like watching the mouse move and like go from place to place, and like the agent was acting agentically, I guess is what you call it, but it goes into the internet, finds the tickets, could buy them for you if you give its log information, stuff like that.
Well, it's going to get to become your best personal assistant for sure.
Yeah, man, I use it every day.
It's only going to keep getting better. So there's a certain point where it's going to know who you are, what you need. It really does. Can almost clone you. As a matter of fact,
it really does.
We've experienced. This podcast is just from prompts. I mean, we're just prompts. Everyone thinks we're real. We prompted this episode.
Yeah, I was gonna so one of the video generation, like the latest text to video I've been using is VO3, and I'm sure a lot of people have seen all the Bigfoot videos and Yeti videos and the Star Wars ones that are on the internet. But I was like sitting here, I'm like, I almost grabbed my computer. I want to take a picture of the creeper truck and then just prompt it to turn into the.
Well, we're gonna have a lot of, by the time creeper comes along, the technology and AI will be much it's already insane, but it's going to be like next level insane, and then we're going to use it to, I think with creeper we'll have a lot more fun because that's the anti-truck, and we don't care. Please hate all the hate creeper lives off hate.
Yeah, and me and Donald love talking about AI. Like I'm so deep into it and so interested. So if anybody else out there has this love for AI, come talk to me. I love talking about it. I want to give me your suggestions. What are you using right now? How are you using it? But you gotta be honest, like a lot of the things that we do have been built off of the backbone of having AI help us. We're two people.
Well here, we were able to do a lot more. With just me and Ryan, we're running a truck company. I used to have 23 people. So
and we have other projects we're working on too right now that are separate from skateboarding.
Yeah.
And we're helping. We're having AI.
Because part of the innovations that you'll see from GrindKing, I should mention, going back to innovation, is that not just the product itself, but more importantly is how you sell the product. In this climate, anyone that it's out there has a business, you have to be innovative in how do you reach your customers. What makes it? I mean, we're being innovative in a sense using this podcast. I mean, that's something that I don't know of any other truck companies doing that yet, but I think that makes us a little different right there, and I think it's been helpful because we're getting all this good feedback. And
by the way, hit that like or subscribe.
Yeah, right.
So we can keep doing this podcast.
So yeah, I think that like a truck company like Creeper will benefit because we can have fun making these little scary movies and shorts and
make a full movie. A horror film.
Well, Creeper had a video called, I don't know if some people remember, it was called Creeper Show.
Yeah, go back and watch our last episode with Ryan Tate,
it was kind of an innovative video because it was very controversial. We'd had a lot of stuff in there that shouldn't have been.
Like the grandma being pushed over.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that made it, it's definitely...
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, but it, it's like drinking
soft,
and...
It's bad, yeah.
There was porn stars, drinking, all kinds of stuff that you wouldn't expect in a skateboarding
skateboarding back in the day, I guess after that was kind of like the turning point, right? Where a lot of other companies started doing crazy shit.
Kind of that, yeah, there was sort of a trend where you wanted, like Rocco,
it was like the Jackass guys were coming
out,
CKY.
Jackass, so there was a lot of controversy at that time, more so than now. Yeah. Now it's kind of, things have tamed down and all this, you got to be PC and everything. And
I want it back. I like that part of skateboarding.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, I think skateboarding should always be edgy. It shouldn't ever get to be like just so vanilla that it's boring. You want to, and that's kind of what we want to do. We want to be a little bit edgy, and we have been ruffling feathers, and I know maybe bother some people, but that's our gig. We're not vanilla. We're Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. I don't like Rocky Road very much.
I don't either.
I like mint chip. Mint chip's good. Well,
I've been consuming a lot of this one
called
hazelnut something or other.
Hazelnut.
Yeah, but definitely I'm not a vanilla guy. I'm very rarely vanilla.
I don't think I'm vanilla.
So, but anyway.
So our positioning for GrindKing, we are innovators, and we're going to continue innovating from here on out, from the past to now. But we love you guys.
And the other thing we want to do is encourage shops. We're starting to reach out to some shops. So I'm going to any shop out there that's watching, we want to collaborate rather than this is kind of a new thing in my head from this weekend actually, is that rather than us just trying to sell to shops like the way most companies do, we want to consider them as partners. We want to collaborate with them and maybe even offer them their own custom truck that is unique to their store. Yeah. We have some ideas on how that could be done, but if there's any shops out there that want to, comment on that or are interested in working with us, it's something new that we want to try. And again, we want to offer that customization, not just to the skaters out there, but maybe shops should have their own, only one of a kind goes to this shop with their logo on it or something.
It could be cool. And in the comments, guys, just comment your favorite skate shop, and if you want to see the lockers in there, and we'll reach out to them directly.
Or if you, even better, if you have a favorite skate shop, tell them to contact us. Yeah. Because that, we're right now ready to expand into going into more shops, and we want to, especially on the west side of the country. We would like to have this collaborative relationship with them.
So hit us up in the comments. I think that's about it.
Yeah, that's it for this time.
Hit that like and subscribe, notification bell, episode 31. Yeah. And
hopefully our this version of us, which is we're just AI here talking to you, hope it looked kind of realistic.
I know. We're just prompts.
We're just prompts.
Prompts, man.
Is that all we are these days? Just prompts? I guess that's maybe everybody's a prompt.
Maybe we're all prompts.
I think maybe that we'll find out in the end that we've been just prompted by something.
That's a scary thought,
right?
Yeah, wake up in like a manufactured embryo, staring up at the sky like the
there's
Matrix.
A god up there, and he just prompts you. I'm going to prompt this.
Maybe
there's a guy here that looks like
he's some nerdy dude in his mom's basement, just making funny AI pictures. Yeah,
you never know.
Oh boy. All right. Well, thank you guys. Much love. See you later.